Rat facts, the 2C. The origins of the Char 2C are shrouded in mystery due to both lost history and complex 1916 French politics. What we do know is after the introduction of the British Mark I tank in World War I, the French became very interested in creating their own. Minister of Armaments Albert Thomas would order a tank to be produced that was superior to the British tank and began working quickly. The tank was to be faster than the British, more powerfully armed, and better armored than the British, weigh 40 tons, be immune to light artillery, and cross trenches 3.5 meters wide. While the French would create the revolutionary Renault FT light tank during this time, it would not be good enough despite its fantastic performance and revolutionary design. The French wanted something that would last until the 1940s. In 1917, a wooden mock-up would be constructed of the 2C, and it impressed the members of the French government so much they considered it to be a potential war winner. However, this same sentiment was not shared by the military. While they did see use for heavy tanks, they believed that their production should come secondary to light and medium tanks. However, the force of politics would lead to the opposite happening, and a total stop of light tank production would be put in place. This was so there would be enough resources to develop heavy tanks. That is, if they could ever manage to get a prototype build. The 2C quickly ran into issues in its transition from a wooden mock-up to a working tank as disagreements, shifts in command, and cost all butted heads. Time constraints and political pressure to get the tank working from French allies who were planning Plan 1919 to bring an end to World War I would lead them to order 300 2Cs before they were even working. Infighting and domestic political pressure would ultimately win out, and only an order for 10 tanks would ultimately be signed. The 2C would not even fight in World War I as it had been introduced so late and mostly used in parades. However, during the French mobilization of 1939, all 10 tanks would be called up for service should the Germans try to invade. Or at least that's what the French people believed. In reality, the tanks were kept far from the front lines and kept out of harm's way. Their main role was as propaganda pieces, and when the Germans attacked in September 1939, they were moved back and filmed crushing old French forts to keep the illusion that everything was okay on the front line. However, nothing could be further from the truth, and after the Germans were successful in Operation Fall Rot, the French military ordered that all famous equipment not be captured by any means. And the 10 2Cs were loaded up on trains and shipped away. 2 of them would break down and be destroyed, and the remaining 8 would be loaded up on trains and sent as far away from the front lines as they possibly could. During this time, the German Air Force would try to hunt them all down, but ultimately would fail. It was ultimately decided to destroy the tanks rather than let them become German propaganda pieces. Unfortunately, one tank, the Champagne, would be captured more or less intact and shipped to Berlin as a war trophy. The Germans would then claim that the legendary tanks had been destroyed by dive bombers. The tank would disappear around 1948 with no one knowing what happened to it to this day. And if you're interested in learning how to use this tank in War Thunder, I have a video on just that in the description. And I just want to take a minute to thank everyone that's joined our Patreon. If you want to support us and help us out, that's in the description below. So yes, a special thank you to Aleppers123, Candyland, and the Doctor. Yet again, if you want to join, that's in the description below. You get exclusive access to all of our videos before they're posted, and you also get a rat named after you. Thank you, everyone.